Why is that?
Yeah. I think it's the next way of life. I don't give like some people, you know.
Hey guys, we're actually getting ready to go live shortly, so hang in there. We're just having small talk. The broadcast is set to start at 8 p.m. So we will be starting very, very soon. Prayerfully, you will be able to join in and have a good time with us.
They need to restructure their pyramid.
But can I just jump in my ladies? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Those of you got with this conversation, I always do. And the thing about that that's always so strange to me that it's not everybody. So that means that somebody understands it. So is it across the board? Yeah, but there still are some people who are still happy and married for 50 and 60 years. You know, even in the new generation, who have been married for like 20 and 30 years. So the process has to still work because people are still doing it. You know, so when people go like, oh, and I do get that the women are so strong that they lose it. But there are other people who are still doing the same thing and still strong too. So why isn't that shown more of? Like, look, you can still be. Right. If you ever had to use something for, you know, an example of that, the Obamas are that perfectness that you can both can still be in power and you guys can still function. Like it doesn't need to be
and function collectively and separately. Okay, I think one of the things, and that's a good point. The thing about what a lot of people don't seem to realize is that when Michelle Obama was already a boss, she was already a boss. Okay, and so she found a man. I think it all stems down to something that Lillie, you, me, Tangerine, and Maya, and did Amber join us?
No, I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay,
nah, she hasn't come in yet.
I see a 757.
Yeah, that's her. The 757 number is her.
I'm here. Hey, welcome. Okay, remember, Jay.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming in, baby. I think one of the things is balance. I think balance. So guys, I have the group chat open because it's many of us or whatever and stuff. So if you got like a point or something or whatever and stuff, and I've overlooked you like or something, just hit me up. I got something to say, or send me, you know, a thumbs up or something, and so I could come back to you.
All right.
You got me?
Let's roll.
Okay, that's it.
Hey, so please don't forget that when you at that the end of this intro, don't forget to mention your sponsor and the same thing in your conversation. At about 15 minutes after, you just do the same thing too again. All right?
Okay.
Right. Are you ladies ready?
Yes.
And no break until 8:30, so you can keep on going. And I'll jump in if you guys are in a conversation. I won't stop you, but if you have time, you know, to bring it to a halt, you can.
Okay.
All right, and countdown 5, 4, 3, 2.
And good evening, and thank you for tuning in. This is your girl, Raw Silk, and you are tuned in to the Sistah to Sistah Can We Talk show, brought to you by the Crossley Coleman Group. And, of course, I always say my Batmans. I don't have any Robins. I got my Batman Tandy here with us. Tandy, you already know. Say hello to the people. Hello, beautiful people. And our girl Aloma, we're going to wish her well because she is surviving graduation today, so she couldn't be with us, but we're going to shout her out. But we have called upon two of our favorite queens in this whole wide world. I call them the other dynamic duo, just two phenomenal women. So we have with us the Motivational Brown Gyrlz, 50 and 50, Miss Lillie Mae and Miss Amber J. Hello, ladies.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
That's so sweet. And ladies, we're just going to jump right into this conversation. We always thank our wonderful engineer for Javon for getting us off to the right track. But we're just going to jump into this because we done already started the conversation before we even took on the air, and this conversation was already fire. So y'all know what the topic is. I'm going to come to you, Tannerlin, first, because you were MIA last week, so I know you still got a lot to say, okay? But before we jump into this topic, okay, ladies, let's briefly take a moment to address our community about voting, okay? The polls have now closed. What is your hope for this election across the nation that's been going on with midterm primaries and things of that nature. So, Taylor, I'm going to come to you, and then to Lillie Mae, and then Amber.
I hope people actually did their research in the candidates that were running. Like, they understood exactly what they were voting for. They understood the message that each candidate was relaying. That's my hope, so that way they can make a cognizant choice when it comes to voting, because these are the people that you're giving permission to set laws, rules, to cut out programs, to incorporate programs. These are people that you're putting this type of power in their hands. My only hope is that people did their research and understand the intent, understand their purpose, and understand their mission as far as what they intend on doing if they're selected.
Absolutely. Lillie?
Awareness. My biggest thing is making sure that people are aware, and if you never felt like your vote counts, vote in the primaries, because this is when it really counts. Because what happens is, this is a time to weed and seed. What I will tell you is that a couple of years ago, when I first started voting, you could vote in both primaries. Okay, you could vote Republican and Democrat. But this time, they asked, what are you voting? Because, see, I was of the belief, I'm going to vote for the weakest Republican candidate to give them a boost, and vote for the strongest Democrat candidate. So, there we go.
Okay, Amber J?
I'm going to pick Miss Lillie Mae and Miss T. Hopefully everybody was informed and did their research and didn't wait until they was pulled up on at the actual polls, because the pull-up game was very strong at these polls this go around. I don't know what the problem was, but I thought I was going to have to pass some votes to get out my way to get to the polls. But I hope everybody was informed. I hope people were comfortable and not just chicken. And please remember that whoever you voted for, if they don't win or whatever the case may be, you still hold those people accountable because you voted, and you're holding them responsible for what you expect for them to do in this election.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that always concerns me, and we talked about this, all of us talk about this in great detail on our platform, is that people understand that it's more important, and it sounds crazy, but it's more important to pay attention to the local elections than what's going on in the White House. Everybody always focuses on the presidential election, but they keep forgetting that it's those local elections that put in the commissioners and the directors for the water, public utilities, and all of these things that affect us and impact us first. Okay, and that is so important. And I know right here in Virginia, this governor's race is going to be very, very important, and for everywhere, because what people don't seem to realize is that your governors align themselves with what happens in D.C. So it's important for all of the governors to get called to the White House. It's important who you put into that office, that they're working for all of the people and not just for one person's agenda. So I was a little concerned because, where I had to go vote, the precinct was, so empty. There wasn't no lines. There was minimal signage.
Very true.
If you didn't know it was an election place, you wouldn't know. But I agree with Lillie Mae. What really shocked me for the first time is when I went in and they asked me which ballot did I want. And I was like, well, when did they start doing that? Because, I was like, I'm a little bit older. So I was a little taken back by that at first, but I see that now is the norm. So I guess it's been a while since I even focused myself on a primary, not paying attention. So, but I'm hoping that everybody went out there and just made their vote count, so to speak. And I agree with you guys being informed. But with that said, let's jump into this hot topic, okay? One of the things that we were saying offline is that I was giving the overview of the show, and I was saying that for the most part, we have a lot of women now that the feminist movement has started stripping women of being feminine. I mean, we got the boss chick, we get all of that, we get the divas, we get all of that. And we get the strong women, and especially in our village, we get the strong black woman. Okay, I get that. But a lot of women don't realize that they have now become so strong that they are a turnoff to men. Who wants to jump in first?
So let me just say this. Let me say that, number one, I think we need to deal with the terminology that we use to reference strength. Now, personally, I know we have a lot of bosses because, of course, you, Raw Silk, your boss lady, Raw Silk. In my bike club, I was boss lady. But the more I hear the word boss, it's troubling because a boss tells you what to do. A boss doesn't necessarily support, coach, mentor, and guide. And so before we can talk about women being too masculine or being less feminine, I think the most important part of it is to understand that where gender roles came from, understand that traditionally women were what? Quiet, submissive, stayed in the house and took care of the kids. But due to socioeconomics, due to FDR's New Deal, due to Lyndon Baines Johnson's welfare reform practices, women were more or less coerced to get their men out of the house, to get financial sustainability, to then begin to become the man and the woman. So I think the most important thing that we got to figure out where it started and fix it. And the reality is that a lot of the transition from submissive, quiet women, it has a lot to do with women becoming more educated. It has a lot to do with more men being absent in the home as a result of whatever. And it also has a lot to do with your upbringing. And so I'm going to leave it right there and let somebody else jump in, but I'll chime in a little bit.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm coming to you.
Yeah, she's absolutely right. I believe it started with the New Deal back in, was it John Roosevelt?
Franklin, FDR.
Frank Roosevelt, excuse me, I misspoke. I believe it started then, because when I looked at the dynamics of the home, the woman couldn't get certain support unless she put the man out of the house. That's when the New Deal with the welfare system was actually created. It had to do with, hiding the fact that your spouse is able to, versus being proud to have a functional family unit. And then to the point where, the social service people figured out that the man was still in the home, the woman had to be forced to work and take on different roles, which caused a lot of aggravation, and it caused a wedge between the love factor between the black man, black woman, or whoever is that I consider to be a victim of that system. That's where I believe it started when I take a look back into history and pinpointing changes in whether it's gender, changes in the mentality of society. That's where I pinpoint that one. Nowadays, when it comes to submission, you have some brothers that think that submission means you do as I say, when I call you, you come. No, you're trying to be an oppressor. It's a difference. Submission actually means trust. It has nothing to do with obedience. And I think, like Lillie says, understanding terminology and the definition and the degrees of it helps clear out a lot of misunderstanding, and that's when you can get people to become on one accord. But when you got people, and submission means one thing to them, and submission means totally something different to the other person, it makes it hard for those people to be compatible, because the fact that it's like, okay, first of all, you're starting to evoke an ancestral memory that I don't like, which is going to automatically cause me to be agitated with you. It's like, okay, at the end of the day, I answer to me, I rule me, I need to respect that. Before I submission, I submit my trust, my life force, my entire being with you. And that's what you need to understand what submission truly means to certain people. So, to put a spin, like, at the end of the day, men and women need to recognize the strength in each other and grow off of it versus competing with it. And I think that is a fix. Yeah, I think that would be a fix. It's like, okay, admire the strength factor of your mate. And that's ultimately catapult you to the next level. Be each other's inspiration versus each other's competition. Because competition ain't designed for us, especially if you come from a village of collectivity. Because if you don't, then it's going to always be turmoil. It's going to always be a frustration factor. It's going to always be a discord. So people really need to look at that and understand the definition and meanings of words, like Miss Lillie said. She hit that on the nail. That was perfect, and that's my take on it.
That's a good. I definitely like the way you gave the overview of submission. Amber J, I'm coming to you, hon.
Hey, you want me to respond after those two powerful statements right there? but again, I agree. It started back with FDR, especially when the draft and the men had to go to war, which left the women, or forced the women, so to speak, to work and raise and be the head of the household back then. And it kind of continued, especially when you had those that might have been killed, and so they had to continue on with being maybe the single parent, the only thing, kind of with no government, what they're going to do. And so now it goes from, when we say the traditionalists would talk to, okay, you're going to be, since you're a little girl, we're going to raise you to be proper, do all this stuff, and now you just added 10,000 other hats to you that you wasn't really, brought up to do, because it was a certain way for so long. And that's just what religion is saying. It's just, again, upbringing. And I agree with Taya, it's about respect and getting respect from each other as well. Find whatever weaknesses your partner has, there's a strength to it. So if your partner has one weakness that you're strength in, and then vice versa, I mean, that's what it is. It's not about who can be the most masculine, and masculine doesn't mean strong. You can be, what they say, a pretty face, a real classy girl, and still be strong. Your strength comes from how you deal with problems, circumstances, conflict. It's not about boasting and throwing your hands at everything. That's unattractive. Even to me, as soon as on TV, it's unattractive. And he has made it to where it's programmed in people, as a female, you have to act a certain way. This is being a boss bitch or all of that, and that's incorrect. And now you have this generation coming up saying this stuff, not really realizing that that's the inappropriate way to be, when you just need to be a lady and do what you need to do. You can do all these boss-like things or these leadership-like things, but you don't have to be boastful with it.
And I think you just said the key thing, because, and I totally agree with Lillie, and I think that because of movement and because of style of movement, people classify you as a boss. Those are not names that, I adopted myself. I know Lillie didn't adopt that herself. It was just because of the way her movement, the way she carried things or whatever. And besides, boss chick sounds better than leadership chick. So I get that. And I get that. I totally agree with you all of where this whole system and outline came from. The problem that I have is that we keep perpetuating it over and over again. We never stop the cycle. We know where the fungus came from, but we never put a halt to it. And what I mean by that is, take for instance, women are the most critical of other women. We criticize a woman. We think it's a sign of weakness if a woman wants to stay home and submit to her husband, like Pamela said, because she has full trust in him to take care of that family unit, and she focuses on her children. We deem that as if something being wrong with her. Why is that?
Isn't it funny how society changes? At one time, it was looked upon back then as a woman working. That's unheard of. Only place a woman to work is in the house. Now it's, she's staying in the house? He must be controlling her. He must have some issues. She might be abused. Switch. All of a sudden it's switched, and I don't know, I can't even pinpoint, exactly where, but officially, but it's switched. So a couple of years, 6 years down the line, is it going to switch back? It's just, are we just moving for the time? That's what it seems like. At one point, we stay in the house, it's what women do. They ain't really supposed to speak. Now it's like, oh, well, she's working, she in the house, I can't believe it. He got a hold on her. She need to get herself together. Ain't no man gonna tell me to stay in the house. I gotta have my money. It's like, what happened? That's her problem. She took her man. What is it got to do with you?
So, I
totally agree with it.
And Amber made a good point. Traditionally, it was such that the woman stayed in the house. You know, I can identify with that wholeheartedly simply because my mother stayed in the house. You know what I mean? My mother was a housewife, you know, but she was a housewife simply because she could be. You know, in the 80s, raising a child, the cost of living was significantly different than it is now. So a little strange that you're staying at home. However, you can't assume that just because a woman is staying home that she's not working. A lot of people work at home now. But to continue on with women, you know, displaying masculine characteristics, what are masculine characteristics? Because I think we're throwing a lot of verbiage around, but we're not operationalizing nothing. We're not defining anything. And what is masculine? Because society tells us that masculine is strong. Masculine does not cry. Masculine runs the household. But at what point do you truly step up and say, wait a minute, some people aren't in a situation or capacity to run anything. And at that place, they may seek out a woman who can balance off what they don't have. So I guess for me, I'm going to play devil's advocate and say, how are we defining femininity? How are we defining masculinity? Are we defining it in the terms that society wants us to? Because if that's the case, then we can truly have a basic conversation. But I think we got to define it. You know, and we have to define it. Everybody's definition is going to be different based off of life experiences.
I think that's an excellent point. I think that your point is well taken. Stand an ovation with that, because you're 100% right. Because society, and we talked about this, Tandy, when we had the show Men Cry in the Dark. Because one of the things that I always say, and I even wrote about this in my book, is that when a little girl runs and she falls, we coddle her, we want to buy her ice cream, we hug her, we give her lollipops and everything, anything to stop her tears from falling, right? But then when a little boy runs and he falls, we go, you better man up. Right? And we teach them at an early age that men aren't supposed to cry. Men are not supposed to be emotional. And then years from now, when some woman is stuck with some emotional shell of a man that she can't get him to show any signs of emotion, we don't understand why there's a disconnect. So your point is well taken.
I absolutely agree with you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead, hon.
Oh, no, I was saying I absolutely agree with you. And I think the reason that I'm so passionate about this is because in grad school, gender studies was something that I took 3 courses because I had to understand because of how I was raised. See, the situation that you just talked about girls being told not to cry, being told to cry and boys being told not to cry, it was the exact opposite for me. If I hurt myself on the baseball field, get up, you ain't hurt. And my mother is one of the women who should be a traditional woman because she was born during that traditionalist generation. But to a certain extent, I am that masculine woman that everybody talks about. And I get the jokes, I get the comments, I get a lot. But I let it brush off of my shoulders simply because the other part of it is you got to accept who you are. And a lot of times what I find is that the reason we define people as masculine or as feminine or men as feminine is because we often envy some of the strengths or the lack thereof that they have. Some people envy individuals who are not strong because they wish they didn't have to be so strong for everybody. And so my point in saying this is to go back again and once again ask, what's your definition of masculine? What's your definition of feminine? Because in my opinion, some people's definition of feminine keep them in situations where they getting their ass whooped every day. Or where they're in situations where they with the same person 5 and 10 years getting cheated on day in and day out with men and women, and they don't even get it. So how do we define masculinity and femininity?
Well, Okay. 10.
Wow. You took my words, and I just joking.
No, I mean, I thought that was like, look, that's a drop the mic moment.
It is. I mean, she's absolutely right. Like, people receive and understand information differently. It is all about how you were raised. And we talked about this, I think, 2 weeks ago, and when I made that challenge, that thinking challenge, to the people that we were speaking to, I think 2 weeks ago. It's like we've been programmed to be someone else versus allowed to grow into our natural beings. And it's like you have to take a step back and think about it. How I was raised doesn't make sense in the love factor that I seek to pursue happiness for the rest of my life. It's the way I was raised is the type of woman that I want to spend my life. Well, can I see myself being happy with this person, whether they're strong, whether they're weak to the point where I need to carry them? You know, people don't think about that at all. And people showing up don't think about it when they get involved with each other. And then, like Miss Lillie Mae say, you know, her mother grew her up strong. My mother did the same to me. Stop crying. Right. You're wearing your emotions on your sleeves. You got to be tougher than that. You got to have thick skin. You know, because the world going to bite you and chew you up and spit you out. You know, so I get the roughness factor, but it was done by design, and to the point where I had to understand the strength factor that I learned is more or less made to push the mate that I'm going to be with. It's going to push him in a direction where it's going to elevate him ultimately, not challenge him in a way to devalue him or demoralize him or to demasculate him. It's more or less to put fire to uplift him so that way he can see that he's full of greatness. Like, that type of strength that Ms. Lillie Mae talking about, only a real strong man can handle that. Real talk.
Absolutely.
Because they're not going to be offended by their mate's opinion. They're not going to be offended by the reaction. Right. So it's more or less, okay, babe, I get you. But it's like people got to take time and really look and think and feel this thing. Like, it's, you know, I don't know. It exists. We got to figure out how to move it.
I agree totally. I'm going to come to Amber in a minute, but I want to remind everybody that they're listening to the Sistah Can We Talk show brought to you by the Crossley Coleman Group, and we are excited that you are tuned in with us. And I want to go back, Amber, I'm going to come to you, but I want to go back to something that Lillie said, because I think that if you could put a needle, find that needle in a haystack, that statement that she made is phenomenal, because I agree with you. I, too, grew up in a household where you had to be strong, and especially being the oldest child, you had to be strong. There was no time to fall short, because I was born in an era where mothers were already preparing their daughters that the likelihood that a man was going to be around was almost non-existent. Now, that doesn't say that was right, but that was just a fact in the era that I grew up in. And so with that being said, we developed this strength. And going to your point, Tamlin, I can also say that this is one of the reasons why I tell women to stop looking for your mate. He's already been designed for you, and let them find you. Because when I was out looking, when I found my son's father, I crushed my son's father. I was too much woman for him. I was too strong for him. He wasn't a strong enough man to deal with the type of woman he had. You follow what I'm saying? And so because of that, I was guilty of emasculating him and being strong or whatever. So because it was like I saw that as a sign of weakness. And then when my husband found me, we're equally yoked. Okay, so by us being equally yoked, the things, the crises, the chaos that a lot of people go through in their relationships, I don't have those things because I didn't look. He was already designed for what I needed. Right. If I'm coming to you.
Wow. Like I said, wow. I mean, I grew up in a single-parent home. And my mother is from the traditionalist segregation era, but she was taught by my grandmother, make sure you be a career woman. Don't be like me, because my grandfather was an abusive man and wasn't doing what he was supposed to do in his role. So my mother raised me just like the rest of us to be strong and to be don't depend on no man. If it comes down to it. But not one time, now thinking about it, I was a tomboy, but not every time when I was both of my children to be girly or to set it up to where I need to be, I guess, sweet or girly enough for a man, because tomboy was my thing, and I'm with the dudes, I'm around the way girl type of thing, but because I didn't see it, how am I supposed to be correct for when my mate comes to me? How am I supposed to be that woman or be that, to have that femininity if it was never taught, if I never saw it? If I always seen my mother being strong, she be very by herself, I will emulate that.
And I think that will come as natural to you. But one of the things that, and I'm not even going to begin to try to explain it, I'm going to take it to tanneling. But one of the things is when those life forces connect, it's not something that you have control of. It doesn't have a look. It's spiritually led. It's spiritually led.
I agree with that, but I'm just looking at it, as we talk about upbringing, that if you only see, your mother being a one way, she talks crazy about guys, you don't see that, right, feminine part, how you can be, shit that's already in line for your mate.
I think and then I'm gonna go to Lillie for a minute, because Lil, okay, and you tell me right or wrong, okay, and I hear what you're saying, because your parents are your first teachers. Your parents are your first teachers, and so they pour all of this stuff into you, and we have those things. But somewhere in life, we get out in the world, and we start seeing other things that make us question, was this 100%? Because if all of us did some of the stuff that our parents told us, we'd probably all be sitting in tuckers right now. Okay? Wow. Because it just contradicts, okay, realistically. But we get out in the world, and I can say that it starts coming to you around that high school. Once you start getting into high school and you start getting more social. For those of us that's been fortunate enough to go to college, then it's a totally different world. I listen, when Bill Cosby and them said it's a different world, it truly is a different world. And you start seeing other family dynamics and other household dynamics, and then you start formulating your own opinion. None of us stay stuck. We may have the foundation that our parents set forth with us, but none of us stay stuck in that. It's few of us that stay stuck in that. We start formulating and start questioning, well, maybe they didn't tell us, right, or whatever. Because if that was the case, my family wouldn't be as diverse as it is, because my family was totally like, you don't date people from other cultures, you don't do this, you don't do this. You know what I'm saying? They were more power to the people or whatever, and so proud Indians, and that was it. You follow what I'm saying? But somewhere along that course of life, you get to meet other people, and you realize other things that, okay, I hear what Mom and them said, but we can't go by everything they say to the letter. Lillie?
So I know we're gonna close out for a break, but I will say this before we break. So it's interesting that you came to me. I was sitting over here thinking, now why is she coming to me? Is it because I grew up in a 2-parent household? But anyway, I would never say that my parents were perfect, but I will say this. I will say that if I could have had a more perfect upbringing, I don't think it would have occurred anywhere else. And I say that because, number one, I woke up to a mother and father. I went to sleep to a mother and father. I watched my mother and father sit at the table and put out the bills together. I watched my mother and father take my brother and I shopping every Friday night. I watched my mother and my father get us ready for church on Sunday morning. I watched my mother and my father do everything together. I watched my mother keep her husband at home for 5 years with Alzheimer's, which caused me to watch my mother and father be the woman and the man in the household, because at that point my father didn't know that he was my daddy. He thought that he was my brother or that I was his baby sister. So that's why I'm so hardcore about these gender roles, because there are situations where you need to know how to be the woman and the man. I wouldn't know how to conduct myself if I hadn't learned both sides of the track before my father took sick. And I wouldn't know how to stand on my own 2 feet and be on my own at the age of 17 if my dad hadn't gotten sick and I watched my mother play both roles in the house. See, people don't look at the entire picture. You know, you got people 30, 40, 50, 60 years old still at home with their parents. And to me, that's unheard of. But at the same time, what's your situation like? How did you come up? Because sometimes this whole femininity and masculinity thing has caused you mental trauma that is causing you to be codependent on your parent. And you can't grow, which could be signs of being too feminine. So I guess
that's a great point. But to take a spin off on that though, you got to look at that fear also allows a mother or a father to keep that child at home too. No one pays attention to nature anymore. If you look at the birds, once they hatch out of the mother bird feeds that bird, and once that bird can sustain itself, which is not a very long time period, the mother pushes it out the nest to fly and go about its life.
Okay.
Nature teaches you that you're supposed to let go because there's purpose that's meant to be served. You're not meant to be idle and stuck up underneath like a shadow. The only shadow you have is your own, not your children, not any other element. But see, people don't pay attention, and they you have things supposed to be in accordance, but people don't pay attention there. But you're absolutely right. I ain't mean to cut you off.
Oh no, you fine. I'm really passionate. I'm really passionate about this because I inherit and I reap the comments and there's supposed to be jokes about it and about how I carry myself and when am I going to get married and why I'm not in a relationship. So I get it. And that's why I'm passionate about it, because I need people to understand that if you're in a relationship and you've been in a relationship 5, 6, 7 years and you still in the same place in your separate places, it's something wrong.
Okay, and we're going to talk about that because that's an excellent point, because people equate longevity with quality, okay? And I tell women all the time when I'm talking to them, if you're in a 9-10-year relationship and your relationship haven't done anything but maybe accumulate a few kids and a few materialistic things, something's wrong with you. You need to be looking at something. Something is definitely wrong, okay? It's maybe you're not in the relationship that you think you're in. But with that said, we're going to take a brief break, and when we come back, I warned everybody this was a hot topic. Ladies, you girls, you queens never let me down. So we're going to take a brief break, and we'll be back in a minute. And we're off. Hey, ladies.
Hello.
Yeah, y'all let on a low-key shot. Look, I gave Lillie a look.
No, I'm really not. Like, I'm seriously not. I'm annoyed because the same people that have so much to say about how people who are seemingly a lot like me carry themselves are the same people who seemingly can't stand on their own 2 feet. So I'm not in any ways, I wasn't throwing shots at anybody. I'm being so serious because I'm tired. Like, a lot of time, jealousy, envy, and strife comes through in the form of jokes. And I think some people don't even realize that they're making jokes, but really showing how insecure and jealous that they are. And that's why I'm pissed off.
So, the thing that, like what I'm saying, I get exactly what you're saying, and I fully understand, especially when you were sharing, with us offline. The thing that's crazy to me is that, number one, I never seen that, what I'm saying, in you, so I think whoever said that is an asshole. And the other thing about that is that, perfect example. Take Tandalin, for instance, okay? Tandalin is sexy and hot in a pair of jeans, t-shirt, and sneakers. And she's just equally as sexy and hot in a dress. That doesn't make her more or less of a woman. You follow what I'm saying? I think that we put a lot of things, and one of the things that I like that you put out there I think it was like a couple of weeks ago, when people want to judge like who's a model, who's not, and things of that nature. Okay, but when we look at, if we would have looked at that, okay, look at Rashumba. okay, one of like the most highest paid models that there is. People told her the same thing, that she was too black to be a model. She was ugly to be a model. Okay, and she paid. So I mean, there's all kinds of things or whatever. It's just like, okay, we know some people that here in America, a lot of people won't find them attractive, and overseas they will be gods.
That's right.
And everybody has their own taste and their own preference. There's a difference. The problem that I have with people is, number one, you should not be joking. Because if I want to say something to you, I don't have to say it in a joke. You feel what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Okay, you got to say something in a joke. That's a bitch move, okay? Because if you got something that you need to say to somebody, then come with it. You know what I'm saying? Give it out there. When you try to go all around neighborhood bond and try to send subliminal messages and all of that, that's bitch access. Yeah.
It's interesting. It's interesting. And I'm learning now to confront it, but I'm also refraining from confronting, because what I'm learning is that some people are so hurt and so broken that if I confront them, it's going to be a big problem, and it's going to probably cause them to have suicidal ideations. So I refrain from doing a lot of things that my demon seed heart wants me to do, but I refrain from doing it because I don't want to be the reason somebody goes into a deep state of depression, or the reason that somebody has suicidal ideations, because it's never my intent to hurt anybody. But I will address the fact that if you are one of those people that has to, gloat in people's downfall and make sideways jokes about people just to make yourself feel good, it's something wrong.
This is the problem that I have, and this is where we are in this world, right? Okay, and this is the problem that I even have for me, because y'all been my friends for a long time. Y'all know I'm a bluntly honest person, okay? You can't decipher in this day and age if people are telling you the truth because it's the truth, or if they're telling you something and they're trying to be malicious and hurt you. You feel what I'm saying?
Very true.
Like, one of the things to me, in all honesty, I think social media is one of the worst things that has happened to society, because there's so many goddamn pathological liars on social media. And I look at people's posts, I look at pictures where people go, "Oh girl, you killed it," and you say, and I'm like, you full of shit. They look like shit.
True.
They shouldn't have their hair like this. They shouldn't have their clothes like this. But people will lie. People will rather believe an unsolicited lie than to be told the truth. So now we're in this stage in the game where when people are telling you the truth, people automatically want to assume that, oh, well, they hating and they jealous. No, bitch, it's the truth.
But Raw Silk.
Yeah, hold on, lady. Let's get back on.
Okay. Wow, it's real. It's real.
And countdown: 5, 4, 3, 2.
And thank you for staying in with us. We are back and we are laughing because you guys should be off the air when we have conversations. We just really have it. So thank you for tuning in to the Sistah to Sistah show, brought to you by the Crossley Coleman Group and our #1 engineer, Javon and WBQE. So Candy, I'm coming to you, and Lillie, I'm going to come back to you because we started talking about, and I mean, tonight has even been an eye-opener conversation. You can learn and stuff from your friends, things that I never thought about. And Lillie, you brought a valid point. I sent you a standing ovation online. You never think about how, when we start defining these roles of masculinity and femininity, how they affect some adults when people try to make, like you said, sly jokes and things of that nature. And we always come to, because like I know we always create crazy names like metrosexual and all kinds of things. Why can't this just be a man who likes to groom himself and take care of himself? Why does geared to it? So I applaud you because you're 100% right. These definitions are detrimental. They're detrimental to our children, and they're detrimental into the way that we're starting to treat each other. And if you go back to it, and I know that you all can relate to it, well, some of us, because some people on this line really ain't get in a string bean, but these are the same classifications that we had to fight through being plus size.
Oh, yes. Oh yes, but let's hold that. Let's hold that.
That we ran into when you were a little bigger than a size 13 and 12 or whatever is the same things now we're doing with roles. Like if we see a woman in sneakers all the time, she must be a tomboy. Why? Maybe her feet hurt. Maybe she just likes sneakers.
I know you said you were gonna go to Tandalin, and so I'm gonna let Tandalin go.
I feel like people are condemned for being themselves. It's like at the end of the day, when you allow a person to be themselves, that's when you see untouched beauty. You know, people need to realize that, you know, how I choose to express myself, whether it's through being comfortable in clothes or dressed up in high fashion or beating my face or being completely natural. If that's how I feel that day, then that's how I feel. It's not that I'm trying to discredit how you go away about life or, you know what I'm saying, or what you like or your taste. My taste is mine and respect it just like I respect yours. I just, you know, I never really got that. Like if a girl like you said earlier, I like to wear jeans, t-shirts, and sneakers. I'm most comfortable in that. But I look just as good in dress-up clothes. So it's like, I'm about comfortability at this point in my life because I do a lot. So I can really care less if a person says, oh, you dress this way, you dress that way. I dress the way I feel. I buy my clothes. I don't see you contributing to it. So therefore, your opinion doesn't matter. You know, thank you for sharing, but at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter.
I think that's a good point because think about this, and Tan, you know, because you were there. So you guys know that I co-host on another show that's on TV, and one of the biggest arguments that I have with the executive team is because I don't wear makeup. I don't wear makeup. I never wore makeup. I won't wear makeup. And it was like a whole big argument, like 2-hour argument on why I needed to wear makeup. And I'm just like, okay, I have natural skin. I don't knock anybody that wants to wear makeup, needs makeup, has to use makeup or whatever. I'm not a makeup person. That doesn't make me any less of a woman because I don't want to put pancake flour on my face.
So Raw Silk, I'm a ticking time bomb because you just really hit a interesting place. And so let's talk about that. Let's talk about how feminine makeup is. But let's also talk about how you said that social media has made people believe lies about themselves and have these false sense of reality. And my reality is just your reality. My reality is that, yes, you're right. I posted about myself not being a model, but being a model in my own right because my natural face does not require makeup. And so when I think about this whole thing about gender roles and being feminine and being masculine, you don't even know who the hell you are as a woman or as a man. You don't even like who you are because I'm sorry. I know that everybody gonna bash me and be like, that's wrong. But if you gotta wake up every morning and cake another face on top of your face, you don't like yourself. I don't see half of these people that calling themselves this, that, and the third, posting pictures of them without a full beat face or without posting Photoshop pictures. I posted a picture of me in a swimsuit this weekend, cellulite and all, because that's who I am. But everybody that I see who wants to be in the limelight, everything I see them do is Photoshopped. You don't love yourself. Amber J posted the other day, you gotta love yourself. And you can't love yourself if you don't know who you are. And you cannot base who you are based off of gender roles, masculinity, femininity. I'm a model. I'm doing this. I'm a performing artist. You know what I'm saying? I'm a dancer. I'm a rapper. I'm a singer. Yeah. So we're in a situation where everybody believes that everything that people tell them on Facebook is real and they take it at face value. Well, I'm here to tell you right now, if every picture that you put on Facebook is Photoshopped and you got MAC, May, Sephora, and Betty Jean on your face, you don't love yourself, and I'm sorry, you aren't fire and you didn't come through.
I think that, listen, I hear what you're saying. Amber, I'm coming to you.
It's safe to me that the definitions or these roles that are being placed as far as masculinity, sexual, whatever, what have you, are based on what I see, what the natural eye sees, what we look at. I'm going to look at you and define you and run with it without probably researching and getting a definition on it. That's what it is. You just see something and smack a roll on it and then go from there and make stuff viral. I mean, we're in a time where everything is so fake. Even the rapper Kendrick Lamar received flack for making a statement in his song, Be Humble, about show me who you are with the stretch marks and all of that. I don't want to see Photoshop. He was ridiculed for that. When somebody like me is like, oh, word? You know about that fakeness? But when you so programmed, we're programmed to be competition with one another, especially women. Who got the most defense? Who could do the best defense? Who could do this? Who could do that? When women, nobody should be competitive, period. We should be helping one another. If somebody is lacking in the area, help that person out. But we then became, like, again, it's switched. Mm-hmm. It's like we are competitive. Like, you normally see, like, men be competitive, not women. And to the point where we'll destroy you. The crazy thing about that. By being sneaky and tell lies on you and to show you to make yourself feel good. But at the end of the day, like Lillie Mae said, you suffering within, and that's because you don't love yourself. If you love yourself, all this stuff to me is petty, will not be a factor to you. Me hating on the next woman shouldn't be a factor to me because I love myself than anybody. Being in an abusive island, we should be able to celebrate each other. Exactly, and we should be able to celebrate each other. You know, years ago I read a book, and I got to remember who wrote the book, but there's a book out there, Oh No She Didn't, okay, and it talks about just that. And one of the things that we will find, and it's sad to say it, but women of color are the worst offenders of this. Mm-hmm. Okay, we don't celebrate each other. We look to find flaws in each other. It's okay. Now, let me tell you, I've seen some chicks that have some of the baddest beat faces, and it works. And I mean, I've seen some beautiful makeup jobs. I even seen one that I said, you know what, I might just do that when I renew my vows, okay? But I'm comfortable in getting up every morning and not having to spend that extra time in front of a mirror and with makeup and stuff on, and that should be okay. That should be okay. I should not have to argue with somebody about not wanting to put makeup on. You should not have to argue with somebody about not putting a Photoshop picture up there to make yourself look like you not are. You should be able to embrace who you are. You know, one of the things in handling those, Lillie, you guys haven't had the opportunity to meet her yet, but my grandbaby has a beautiful little mark on her face, and this is why I call her Beauty, because she has a beauty mark right on her face. And I call her that because I'm already pouring into her that you are beautiful, because I know somewhere down the line when she starts school, when she starts being around other kids, it's going to become the source of a joke. It's going to become the source of something derogatory before someone sees the positive beauty in that God put his fingerprint on her somewhere.
That's right. That's right. And it starts at home. The reality is that all of this starts at home, and Amber J will tell you that I say this all the time. Individuals who are out here chasing every opportunity they can to be seen, and who are always seeking attention in some, public eye or public venue, is something that mama and daddy did not do for them. And I get that grandparents are raising kids, and I get that aunts and uncles are raising kids, and I get that kids are in group home and in foster care. But it's something that mama and daddy did not do, because no fully grown adult should be attention seeking. And like I said earlier, I'm sick of adult bullies. You have adult bullies out here who look to beat up on people, but what they do is they get kindness and weakness mixed up. So when the bully meets the bulldog, they don't know what to do. And so I think that all of us share in the fact that we are all unique, but we also all come with a different set of strengths. And I'm just happy that I come with a strength where my mother and father told me, point blank period. My mama said, Lil, you the biggest damn kid in the classroom, but you're smart and you're beautiful. And that stuck with me from 4 years old, even through now. And so that's why when people tell me what I'm not, I look at them like, oh, I ain't got the problem. You got the problem. But along with that comes self-evaluation and self-reflection. Once again, Amber J can, attest to this. I've become so strong in who I am that I can catch my flaw and fix it in the instant. Instantaneously, I can say, this is what I do. Let me reverse it. But see, that's the problem. Nobody is able to self-criticize because everybody has gotten so self-righteous and so perfect.
Yeah. Girl, listen, I'm waiting for some of them to start walking on water. Go ahead, Ken.
Woo.
You're absolutely right. I mean, at the end of the day, the reality of it all is, like Lillie said earlier, hurt people hurt people. Mm-hmm. And you do have to, especially the word of you have to be extremely confident in who you are, understand who you are, and walk in that same image. There's a lot of people that are envious of your courageousness to be beautiful despite your flaws. Mm-hmm. Every diamond comes wrapped in a rock, and some point in time there's rough edges until it actually comes into its manifestation. The diamond itself, it's like people, beauty is within anyway, because you can have a bad shape. I don't know, naturally. You can have beautiful hair, beautiful eyes, but the inside of you ain't pretty or beautiful.
Ugly. Exactly.
That's right.
It don't. Absolutely not. And it's like I noticed, like, when Lillie made a point that people, the ones that are, saying, the naysayers are saying that you can't do this, or I don't know why you're doing that, those that got false opinions, well, she not going on. And at the end of the day, when I look at her, and it's like, you know what, you are so unhappy with yourself, and you mad at her because she doesn't have that fear. You mad at her because she knows how to move forward. You mad at her because she has a high level of discernment. You're mad at her for what? You need to be mad at yourself. Keep your comments to yourself. I'm a mom of something. If you ain't got nothing nice to say about nobody, don't say nothing at all. Keep it to yourself because it's pointless. It's pointless.
We're going to have to continue this conversation.
If you have to do something, then we should be supporting. Yes, you're right. You are beautiful. Yes, you are a supermodel. You know what I'm saying? Yes, you can be successful at anything that you put your mind to. And that sets the tone for all the generations to follow. Lillie Mae is a path maker. Period. Spiritually, physically, emotionally, like she's doing it. She's an example of what women, little girls, should want to follow. So at the end of the day, Miss Lillie, screw what them people got to say, and I better not read a comment or such on your page that I will chime in.
You better please talk in my language now, because now I'm gonna be in this Facebook wall. I'm a little salty right now.
Let me tell you, I will say this, Amber, one thing I will say, and it's so interesting because the four of us share this. The four of us have a heart for one another. And that's one thing, Tandalin, what you just said and what Raw Silk said, Amber will shut it down before I even get a chance to see it. But like you said, Tandalin, you hit the nail on the head. We should be supporting and backing one another. But you can't support and back one another until we get these internal hurts fixed and patched up.
Absolutely. Okay, so now with that said, while our time winds down, with that said, give us something to walk away, a starting point. What do you believe a starting point would be? Coming to you first, Tandalin.
Eliminate fear out of your life. Stop being scared. Especially stop being scared of who you are. Take a gander on the inside That's where untouched utilize, and that way, the world that you see, you can actually become the change that you desire to see in it. So my whole thing is look internally and digest yourself. Do a closet check, as my mother always tell me. Self-inventory. Good point, Amber. Amber, I'm coming to you. Look yourself in the mirror, and if you don't like what you see, change it for the better. It starts with good point. It does. It starts with you. And Lillie Mae, I would be remiss if I didn't let you take us out. So before I come to you, I'm going to say thank you all for tuning in. We've been brought to you by the Crossley Coleman Group. Thank you for listening to Sistah. We'll be back next week. But Lillie Mae, give us your final thought. Take us out.
So my final thought is this. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's about the collective impact that we can make on the world. Stop being opponents to your fellow brothers and sisters. Let's break Willie Lynch's legacy down and let's come together as a people. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. I don't care if you're masculine or feminine. Let's make this thing work. Let's make a collective impact on the world. Because one thing about it, we as black people are strong and they brought us here. Half of us were already here. So let's take back what's ours.
Listen, I can't even follow that up. All I can say is, again, how very humbled and honored to have you all in my circle, because you guys are some dynamic queens that are making huge impact in the world. Motivational Brown Gyrlz, what you guys got going on? What you got coming up?
Go, Amber.
Well, we have the honor of teaming up with Street Empire LLC on a fashion show on August 27th to bring awareness to sex trafficking and missing persons, and it's dedicated to a young lady who has been missing out of Richmond, Virginia for some time now. Details, I know I'm just backstage covering it, so I don't know all the details yet, but we're honored to be a part of it. Of course, Lillie Mae is on the runway behind the scenes, but this is an awesome fashion show to bring awareness to a very serious issue that has hit Richmond at an all-time high. It hit Virginia pretty much at an all-time high. And it'll be also facilitated by Ms. Sylvia Edmonds, CEO of Broken Women Foundation. We also are coming up on our one-year anniversary in July of Motivational Brown Gyrlz. It started next month of last year. So, and of course, we're coming back in the fall in October with our 5-week series, Relationship.
Absolutely. And how can they get in contact with you guys?
Go ahead, Lillie, with the social media.
Oh, wow. Facebook, Motivational Brown Gyrlz official group, or the page Motivational Brown Gyrlz MBG. Instagram, Motivational_Brown_Gyrlz. That's girls, GYRLZ. We are on Twitter at MBG_0716, and we're also on Tumblr. Follow us. We love you.
And we thank you so much. We thank you. We miss Saloma. We thank you, Motivational Brown Gyrlz, for sitting in with us. This will not be the last time that you sit in with us, because you know you guys are family. We absolutely adore you. Tamberlin, you know I couldn't do it without you. Again, you've been listening to the Sistah Show, brought to you by the Crossley Coleman Group. And we're going to say to you, see you next week, Tuesday night, same bad time, same bad channel, and have a good night. All right, we're off. Thank you, ladies, so much.
Very, very, very welcome.
Awesome show. I told the ladies that let me get Tina on. So let me get Tina on. I'll talk to you ladies later.
All right. So, guys, you just tuned in on Sistah to Sistah Can We Talk, and that was our podcast for Tuesday night. Shout out to author Tracy Hartney Scott, aka Raw Silk, aka the Boss Lady Raw Silk, for having us on tonight. Guys, I'm gonna download this broadcast shortly so that you will be able to tune into it. Go back and listen, because I definitely had a lot of food for thought this evening. I love you. Once again, I'm your girl Lillie Mae of MBG, and I'll see you later.